Hey, what's up? It's Hyphen. I have to sneeze again. Woo! I made a video where I showed the grass sword that I had made, and I asked if anybody would be interested in it. I asked if anybody would be interested in a tutorial, and a lot of you said yeah. So I did it. I think the most annoying part when you're trying to follow a tutorial is when you like buy the stuff that you think you're going to need, and then you go into it, and then they do something that's like, how do I do that? What am I supposed to do? So I tried my best to use materials that anybody can find at local stores. I didn't do anything that's like requiring tools that people probably don't have. And I made it in just one day, so you could probably do the same. So the sword that I'm going to be showing you how to make in this video is the top one. It is a lot easier to make than the bottom one. As you can see, the handle is a little bit thinner, and the blade itself is physically thicker. In most references, the blade is about the same size as the handle, like in this first one, but the animation style does change a bit, so sometimes the blade is thicker than the handle, so it works out. The one that I'm making in this video is also more durable and more ideal for conventions, so let's get into it, baby! So this is everything you'll need to make the project on your own. You need a meter stick, some EVA foam, a hot glue gun, and a way to cut the foam. I also use a Dremel, but you don't have to. Also, look at this battery-powered glue gun I have. It's kind of silly. It's a silly little... So this is the original one that I'm going to be simplifying a bit more to make it easier to like make at home without it taking weeks. As you can see, it's a bit shorter than the actual meter stick. So for the old one, I actually cut the entire thing in half long ways to make it more thin. But for this one, we're actually just going to leave it and cut right here so that we could have that rounded edge, because we're going to put the foam around the meter stick and we want it to be able to come to a rounded point, and it's going to be awesome. You're going to love. So what you can't see is on the inside, I cut right there on the meter stick so that we could have that curve on the outside of the foam without it like poking up on the corner. So I'm going to mark right here, and then we're going to cut it so around the foam it can be rounded, and you can't see that edge poking up through the foam because you would see it like right there if we didn't do it. We want it to be smooth. I'm just going to kind of go from this corner, and then I'm going to just mark it down to about here. It's about like 2 inches and like 1/4. And you can do more if you want. Just know that like if you do, it's going to have less of like a steep curve on the end, and it's going to be more rounded out. Now I'm going to use this big old saw to cut it all stinky style. You can do different stuff, but I didn't, as you can see. Just go ahead and cut that little corner piece off so you can have it come to a point here. And look at that, who'd have thought? Now it'll kind of fit inside and be that point. Yeah. I don't remember what I was saying here, so just pretend that I'm saying something. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get the EVA foam roll. EVA foam, look at that. Yeah, it's just like a, you know how it is. Alright, so then we're going to lay the roll down long ways so that we can place down the meter stick on top of it. And as you can see, it did come with free dust here, free little poo-poo particles. So we're actually going to want to outline the meter stick, but we want it to be bigger than the meter stick. And I know that that sounds weird for now, but we're going to line up the top of the foam with the like top side of the meter stick, and then that extra long part that's longer, we're going to glue together so it can come to a point. It's also important to remember that the blade is not the entire sword, so we want to exclude 8.5 inches on the bottom of the meter stick, and that part we are going to leave not in the foam. Go ahead and then exclude your 8.5 inches, and then line up the top of the meter stick with the top of the flat side of the foam here. So go ahead and mark on the foam where the tip of the blade is, and then mark just below where the bottom of the meter stick is, at the front and at the back. Then we're going to go ahead and go to those points and add 3/4 of an inch more and mark another line. And we're going to do that same thing at the bottom. Use the meter stick to line up and draw a line between those bottom marks that you just made. Then just do like a rounded point to connect to the tip 3/4 of an inch mark. I think I'm having a stroke. Am I okay? Just connect the 2 points. It can be rounded, but make sure on the top there it does come to kind of like a sharp point. You don't want that top part to be rounded. Only like the bottom part that connects the 2 lines. Then use your X-Acto blade or scissors to cut out from the foam what you just marked. Now you're going to use what you just cut out to make the exact same thing on the foam again. As you cut this second one, try your best to stay on the line or on the inside of the line, because since it's a trace of the foam, it's going to end up being a little bit bigger, and we don't want that. So try your very, very best to stay on this line. All right, so we're then going to, once we have both Yamama, we just want the tip of the blade to be at that part that we marked on the foam, and then we're just going to glue it down and keep the edge of the foam in line with the edge of the meter stick. Yeah, as you glue, just try to keep those top lines together. So yeah, that's it glued in. You just want that top to be looking as if it's one piece. Then don't forget to mark that 3/4 of an inch. So then you could line up the tip perfectly here. And then just do the same thing that you did with the other one here. It's important to know that there's no such thing as perfection, so if you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up too much about it. Just the fact that you're trying your best is awesome, so good job. So right now it should just be 3 separate pieces, the meter stick and then the 2 pieces of foam on the side, and then you're going to have that extra added space here where the handle is going to be. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put hot glue on the smaller of these 2 pieces, and we're going to push them together like this to get it to come to a point. It's important to put the glue on the smaller of the 2 pieces, because if you put it on the bigger piece, the glue is going to come out and then it's going to be visible. So that's why you kind of see me flipping sides here. If you did do an exact perfect cut, neither side should be bigger, but there is like a little bit of difference in mine. So now it comes to a point, you can see that line there, it's kind of cool, but it should be relatively flat. Mine still has like the parts that are slightly longer, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those off just to get it like as flat as possible. Now that we have this side flat and even, you can leave it here and it'll just be like a blunt edge, but I'm going to go through with a Dremel and sharpen it. You don't have to do this. The timestamp here is if you don't have a Dremel and you just want to go ahead. It will end up being fine without it. It just won't look like it comes to a sharp point. It's important to remember as you Dremel to go with it, not against it. I'm going to be Dremeling up until that seam line where we see that we glued them together. That's going to make it so that it has an even peak across the blade from both sides when I flip it. You're doing great, by the way. There's that peak. Yippee, let's go. Let's get it, let's get it. Okay, so now that we have the blade, we're going to go ahead and start on the handle here. We're going to make these 2 wing sort of grass things first. So we are going to measure 1 3/4 of an inch. So there we go. And then we're going to actually go down. We're going to use the same length as the blade if you're still using that same piece of foam. Whatever length you ended up making your blade, go down to where it starts to curve and do the same measurement here. So the 1 3/4. And then draw a straight line at the bottom here. And then we're just going to make a straight line connecting these 2 lines. Go ahead and cut out what you just marked. Mark again 1 3/4 inch on both sides, and then this time do 12 inches across, and then cut it in half so that you have 2 6-inch panels. These are what we're going to use for the top little fin arm guard things. We're going to cut a triangle into the edges of these, but we're going to have the tip of the triangle facing towards. So we're going to cut like this. And it doesn't matter really how deep of an angle you make the triangle, because in the show the animation varies a ton, so you're good. We're then going to glue one of them onto the sword. So we're going to bend it a little bit, and that tip that's bent, we're going to glue that to the meter stick at an angle. Like this. And then you're going to get the tip of it and glue this just barely to the edge of the blade here so that it's at an angle going upwards. And then just hold it there for a second, and then do the same thing for the other side. For this side, luckily though, we can just have it flat glued to the one that we just placed right here. So we're gonna put glue on the edge there, that straight part, and we're gonna glue it in like that. And with that, we can also see the angle that it's going to be on the blade. So you just want to kind of have it be at an angle in between the blade and the meter stick, like this. And then you just place it down there, hold it, and then do the same thing you did on the blade on the other side, but this time it's going to be facing away from the blade. Now we've got the guard things on. I don't know what they're called. Let's get it. Woo! We're then gonna take that longer panel that we cut and line it up just underneath what we just glued on. And you're going to wrap it around the handle here. Make sure to keep it as low down as you can so that you don't see the meter stick. And it's going to overlap right here a little bit. But you want to keep wrapping it at the angle that you were before. And then you're going to have this little overlapped area for just this first one. So you're going to mark that and you're going to cut it. So then you'll be able to wind it perfectly without anywhere overlapping. We're going to go ahead and glue the front that we just cut with an angle down. And then we're going to wrap around. And we're going to remember as we're gluing to push down so that we don't see any of the meter stick while we're gluing down this handle. I wanted to take this time to say, if you're new to the building community, don't let those who tear you down make you scared to keep trying. It's very common that someone will tell you when you're proud of something that you made, I would have done it better, or here's how I would have done it better. And it's not constructive criticism, so just ignore those people. We're going to have this little bit of excess here at the top, and that's actually a good thing. So after we glue this around, we're going to just leave it hanging. And we're going to use the excess to make these two little point things, because originally I had to do a ton of dremeling for that, and I think I have an easier way for us to do it. So we're just going to go ahead and glue this down here. All right, and then for the other side, we're going to just glue it to itself. We're going to glue this foam band to itself. Hold it there for a little bit just to make sure the glue settles. And then we're going to cut off this excess here, and then the little triangle that we have left on top to make it flat and glued together. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing that we did on those fins. We're going to go ahead and cut a triangle. Yippee, now we have the thing. I'm then going to take this very thin 2mm foam and I'm going to outline the top of the blade, and I'm just going to glue it on the top there where you can still see the wood so that it's all surrounded by foam. So now that we've got all of the foam in place, the only thing we have to do left is paint. I'm going to be using this house paint because it will fill in the cracks a bit better, and it's also going to make the sword more durable. I'm going to actually end up putting, I think I ended up doing 3 layers on both sides, so I'm just going to paint one side, let it dry, flip it, paint the other side, and then let that dry, and repeat that same process until it's done. I only recorded me painting one side because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. If you want to see what it was like for me to paint the other side, just rewind the video and hold your device upside down, I guess. I don't know what to tell you there. Here's a good size comparison. This is what mine ended up looking like. I actually kind of like that the blade is bigger than the handle. I know that that's not how it is in the show most of the time, but it kind of makes it look pretty cool. If you do end up making the blade, you should join my Discord and send a picture so that I can see what you did. I'm sure you did a great job. I'm sure that it looks awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's the grass sword. I hope you liked the video. Please consider liking, subscribing, all that stuff that you've heard a million times on YouTube. Let me know in the comments if you do want me to end up making the harder one and a tutorial on how to make the harder one. Let me know in the comments if you liked this kind of crafting video. It's not usually what I make, so I appreciate you watching. I was thinking about maybe making the demon blood sword next. If you didn't like this video, don't worry. I am going to continue to do the regular type of videos that I do on this channel. I just thought I'd try something new. Thank you for watching. Bye.